So my name is Chris Fuller. I'm the Chief Sponsorship and Mission Integration Officer at St. Joseph's College in Standish, Maine. Part of my work here is what's called the Center for Faith and Spirituality at St. Joseph's. The Center for Faith and Spirituality offers workshops here on campus, is working with faith communities throughout the area also to partner and offer spiritual opportunities. Of course, we find ourselves in very interesting times these days where many people are either staying at home or working at home, and many churches have closed their doors but are finding different ways to offer spiritual advice, spiritual comfort to their communities in whatever form that may take place. And so this is a series of conversations with people both here locally in Maine, but also throughout the country to talk about faith and spirituality in a time of crisis. So my inaugural guest for my first conversation is Reverend Pat Bessie at Unity of Greater Portland. So Pat, thank you for joining me today.
It's nice to be with you, Chris, and I'm very honored that you would think of me and invite me on this call.
Well, it's great. Well, it's been a pleasure to meet with you and work with you during my time here since arriving here in August, especially on several projects. So we'll make a brief announcement to those who may be watching this. Right. Well, Pat and I, along with a host of other organizations, worked on bringing Mirabai Star here to campus. She was to speak here on campus in March, but because of all the issues around coronavirus and directives from the state regarding safe social distancing and gatherings of people, we have postponed it, but it has been rescheduled. So it will be now Saturday, November 21st. So we'd say to those of you viewing this to look out both on the webpage of the St. Joseph's College Center for Faith and Spirituality, as well as the webpage of Unity of Greater Portland for further information about this exciting opportunity. So we're grateful to Ms. Starr, who has agreed to join us in November. So thank you, Pat, also for all your work.
Well, it has been a pleasure to work with St. Joseph's College. We started that partnership a couple of years ago. We brought in Father John Deere, and then we also brought in Paul Chappelle. And so it has been a wonderful experience having this partnership. And because you folks are so close to us as well, I mean, you're only up the road about 3 or 4 miles. So it makes for a very good place for us to connect.
Yeah.
So what would you like me to talk about this morning, Chris?
So tell us first just a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
How did you come into ministry? How did you come into ministry? And tell us a little bit about Unity Church as well. What kind of congregation is it? Who do you serve? Start there. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come into this ministry?
Well, this is my third career. I first came to Unity of Greater Portland in September of 1989. And I had been looking for a spiritual home that aligned with my beliefs and what I thought a spiritual life looked like. And when I got to Unity, I found that just what I was looking for. So I became a congregant there, worked within the ministry there, served on the board, and then got the calling to go to seminary. And I had been out of school for over 30 years when that call came. And so I answered the call and went. Unity is located in Lee Summit, Missouri, right outside of Kansas City. And I spent 2 years on campus there being trained. The interesting story for me is, and that was back, I got ordained in 1996. And the interesting thing is that after being in ministry for over 10 years, which we had pioneered a church in Virginia Beach, we decided to come home, and coming home meant coming back to Maine. And in that time frame, I had been doing a lot of church consultant work. And so when I came back to Maine, my husband and I settled up in Rangeley, which is about 120 miles from Windham. And I was still working as a church consultant. And the church in Windham had me come in and do some work with them. Well, this again was my home church, so it was very familiar to me. And after I had been working with them for a bit, the minister shared that she was moving back to Florida, which was her home. And so I threw my hat in the ring as a temporary minister there, and I got hired. And that was back in August of 2011. And I'm still there. And it's wonderful because some of the people that were in the church the very first time I ever set foot in a Unity church are still part of my congregation.
That's right.
So it's been a really wonderful full circle for me. And my husband is also an ordained minister. And while we were building out the church that we're in now, we used to be in Portland and now we're in Windham. He did a lot of the construction work on that church. So we have a great affinity and a great love for that building and for the community. So a little bit about Unity. Unity is part of what is called New Thought. And it's a group such as divine science and science of mind. And Unity was founded by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore in the middle 1800s. And we follow a lot of the teachings of, we see Jesus as our way shower and teacher. We see his teachings are what we really focus on, not the man, but the teachings. And actually, New Thought began here in Maine with Phineas Quimby, who was a physician. And then he began to see the connection between mind and health. And so he saw the bridge where our thinking was impacted how we felt. And so what we have 5 basic tenets that our teachings are built on. And the first one is that God is good and everywhere present. The second one is that every one of us are inherently good. Every one of us has that same spark of divinity within us that was in Jesus, that was in the masters, Mohammed, Moses, all of them. The third one is that our thinking is a relationship to what we see in our world. As we think it and put energy to it, that's what we get. The fourth one is all of these are underpinned through prayer and meditation. Meditation is a very important part of the Unity work. Spending time in the quiet, listening, taking the guidance. And then, of course, the fifth one is putting these into action. Knowing them is, or knowing about them is one thing. Using them is really where the work comes. Mm-hmm. So our work is, we do a lot with classes and workshops, bringing in people from all different faiths. We're very much into spiritual, which helps us, which makes our relationship with St. Joseph's College and your work so compatible, because we both have a similar vision for where we want to go into the future. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit about me. I live in Casco. I have one son who lives locally, and my husband, and that's about who I am.
So you said you've been there since 1989, I think?
That's when I first walked through the doors of Unity, yes, for the first time.
Well, so that's quite a long time to be a minister at a congregation. So what has been the most rewarding part of your work there at Unity?
Well, I became a congregant in 89. I didn't get ordained until 96.
Okay.
The most important piece of my work is to see people's lives transformed. See people's lives become enhanced by the teachings that we offer. Over the last couple of weeks, with all that's been going on, I get texts and emails from people saying, I am so grateful that I have the principles, because when I work the principles, I'm able to stay grounded. I'm able to stand in faith. And so for me, that's the fruit of the work. people's lives being transformed, people's lives being enhanced by the teachings that they're receiving.
That's nice. So now we live in these really challenging times, right? Where all of us, whatever our denominations are trying to grapple with what's going on, trying to figure ways out to continue to offer the ministries of which we're a part at a time when basically the doors of the physical doors have closed.
Exactly.
But we want those spiritual doors to remain open to our communities. So how have you adapted to this? How are you working within this context to offer that same kind of spiritual direction to your congregation?
Well, it has been a very steep learning curve over the last couple of weeks. But one that I have to say I've enjoyed, and speaking with some people within my community, I feel like my brain is having, it's in a gym class. And it, and it's learning new techniques and new ways to do hurdles and all of that kind of stuff, which is exciting. So the ways that I've adapted is actually this winter we had one snow day when we couldn't have church, and so I took that opportunity to do a Facebook Live, and it was my first attempt at doing that, and it went quite well. So when we had to physically close our doors, that seemed to me the next step was to continue to do our Sunday service at the same time via Facebook Live. So we've done that for the last 2 Sundays. When I did it in the winter when we had to close, I did it from my home. But I'm doing it from the church now, and my music director is in with me. So she's providing music, and we're using the exact same order of service that we do when people are there. So there's a familiarity to the service. They know what's going to come next, which has been helpful. But the thing that I have found most helpful for me is getting up on Sunday morning, getting ready, and going down to the church. There's some sense of normalcy for me in that. It's just the two of us, and we do the social distancing piece. But it has created for me a sense of normalcy, as I said, and the response that I am getting back is very positive. Actually, we are reaching way more people by doing Facebook Live than we do when people come and are in our sanctuary. So I feel good about that because I feel like our message is getting out further into the world. We're also using Facebook Live for other times. I've done a couple of just spontaneous Facebook Live with, I'm calling them faith lifts. And today at 10 minutes past 12, I'll be doing a noontime prayer, and I say 12:10 because Facebook and Google and Zoom are saying, please don't start on the hour. Everybody is starting on the hour. So, so I'm trying to manage that as well. And just learning a lot, Yesterday, we had 2 groups that normally meet at the church that met through Zoom.
Oh, good.
So there are connections are still being made, and I've had an influx of requests from people. How can I help? What can I do? And my response to that is reach out to the people that you know that come to the community and just check in and see how they're doing. So that's what we're trying to do at the moment. And as we continue, new things will come along that we implement. And I'm excited to hear from other people that you're going to be interviewing what they're doing. Because I think we're all on a steep learning curve, and we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. And that is to help people to stay calm, to stay grounded, stand in their faith, and to know that together we'll get through this.
Yeah. And so these Facebook Live events are both streamed live, but they're also I would guess, cataloged on your Facebook page as well. So if someone can't make the live stream, they could go to your Facebook page and still watch it recorded, correct?
Yes, and also on our website,
Good.
unitygreaterportland.org. The Sunday message is now being posted on there as well. I am looking to move to YouTube,
Mm.
uh, so that we have our own YouTube channel. And I've been told that that might be a better platform because it might not be so busy.
Mhm.
However, I think until everybody kind of gets in a rhythm, we're going to find that all of the platforms are being stretched.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what I will do as part of this at the end here for our viewers, I'll post both the webpage address for Unity as well as your Facebook address, so people then can check in on your webpage for events that you're offering, as well as your Facebook page for any of the spiritual events that you're offering as well.
Great. I appreciate that so much.
So I think we both agree the technological challenges of this, right? Trying to adapt to this, as well as what I'm trying to do here in these conversations. Are there any in particular, if you spiritual or theological challenges for you, given these new circumstances?
I don't think so. I think what they're doing is, I think what we're seeing here. I was talking to some colleagues this week, and we're all in agreement that we're in the time of revelations. A new earth and a new heaven
Mhm.
is coming forth.
Mhm.
That I think that we are really coming to a place of recognizing what I believe is that Jesus's whole message was that about relationships.
Mhm.
And so this is what we're really getting to see, is that this is a time for us to really put our relationships ahead of everything. And we're going to find that there's a reset that's happening in all of us.
So we think this is an opportunity actually for renewal.
Exactly.
Given it's interesting to think of, we each in some ways have to sit in separate spaces, but that might be providing us the opportunity to reflect on how important our relationships actually are to each other.
Absolutely. My husband and I play cribbage every afternoon. We
Mhm.
haven't done that in years. I mean, so I'm seeing, I'm getting out walking. All of the things that I always put on the back burner, I'm now able to put into my day, and I'm hoping that by the time that we get through all of this, which I hope isn't too long, that they will become a natural part of my day, just like prayer and meditation is.
Good. So I think that's good advice for people, that look for opportunities. If you are at home, or at home specifically with someone, your husband, your family, it's an opportunity to look for new ways to connect with each other,
Exactly.
new ways to forge or deepen your relationships with each other, and even your connections with folks who may not be with you. I attended a mass yesterday with people across the country, friends from across the country. The priest was in New York. There were people in California, Oregon, Maryland, Maine. We all got on Zoom together, and the priest in New York presided at mass for us yesterday. So yeah, and that's the first time, perhaps in some ways, we've all been together in that way in actually a couple of years.
Yes, yes. I mean, so this is really taking us to another level. I think it's I think our consciousness is expanding into a greater awareness of how we can be of service in a way that we haven't had the opportunity to think about before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any way in which your experience here in Maine has shaped how you're approaching this? Is there something about being in Maine that has given some kind of shape to your ministry here and how you work with people?
Well, I can tell you this. When we had our ministry, when we founded a ministry down in Virginia Beach, it was a wonderful experience. We were there for 10 years, and I really loved it. But there is something about coming home. There is something about for me, being in a culture that I am very aware of, very familiar with. And so I think that there is, for me, also an understanding, a better understanding of what people's needs are here versus when I was in an area that I wasn't all too aware of their culture. So I think that it does make a difference.
Well, Pat, I want to thank you for this conversation. As I said, I'll direct people here at the end of the video. I'll post the Facebook address. I'll post the web address for Unity Church, and hopefully direct people your way. And wish you the best of luck with your ministry as it continues in this new virtual space. And let's keep in touch and continue to support each other.
Thank you, Chris. And I so appreciate you. I am watching you as the energy that you're bringing to the work that you're doing is absolutely amazing. And I'm so grateful to be in partnership with you. So thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, great. Thank you again for the conversation, and God bless. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Take care.